Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to RoyalBluFX. In today's video, we're going to talk about what time frames are best to trade on. And in last week's videos, we had multiple winners, and they're right here. So go ahead and reach out to me personally on Instagram at RoyalBluFX for a free consultation. If you guys want to win a free consultation with me personally, all you got to do is subscribe and comment done and tell me what financially free means to you. So let's get in the video.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. All the way up.
All right, so what is the best time frame to trade on? This is a question that I've been getting asked a lot on Instagram and on YouTube, and I felt like it was really important to kind of break this video down a bit, so for people to understand, what time frames are best to trade on. Now, a lot of you guys may, may have gotten or may have understood that, that the 4 hour may be the best time frame to trade on, or maybe the 1 hour is best time frame to trade on, or what have you, maybe the 5 minute or 50 minute. But those are a lot of people's opinions. Obviously, it's based off of their ways of their personality, right? So in this video, we're going to talk about clearly about how to sort of dissect the time frames in terms of understanding your own self. We have to dissect you as a person in order to understand what time frames you're going to be trading on. Okay, so here we go. As you see right here, you can clearly see right here what we've written down here. It says there's no best time frames to trade on, and I'll get into that in a few minutes. But the reason why there's no best time frames to trade on is because it all comes down to the person and their individual personality. Again, all right, you can have a full-time job and trade, the 1 minute if you wanted to, or you can have a full-time job and you can trade the daily time frame chart if you wanted to, right? It really depends on your personality at the end of the day, okay? So in order to know what best time frames to trade on, you must take these questions in consideration before starting to trade. This is really important because as a trader, or as a person, whoever's going into something new and endeavoring into something new out there, right? You don't want to just jump into the bandwagon and start doing things that you don't know, right? I mean, you can do it as far as an experience or whatever, but I definitely don't suggest you jumping into something new if you are a beginner and you're risking something like your money, obviously, right, or your time, maybe in this instance, right? So it's better off to do something as an example, or to go and trade off to trade like a demo, like for example, a demo account, right? Don't just go straight into trading a real account if you're just trying to start, if you're starting out, or if you've been losing money too. Don't just continue going into the real market because you don't know what you're looking for, right? So let's continue. So here's some of the things to think about, okay? Considering time frames, one must understand speed, timing, availability, goals, finances, precision, and attention, okay? There's probably a lot more than these that I've thought about, but in terms of as a trader, for me particularly, going through the 4 years that I've been learning how to when I started learning how to trade, some of these are probably the most things that I've always thought about when I started trading. And I think as a trader, you need to understand, for example, the speed. How fast do you want to trade, right? I mean, are you the 1 minute type of trader? Are you the 30-second trader, 15-second trader, or are you the 4 hour trader? What are you exactly, right? How fast do you like things given to you in terms of trading, right? Timing, it's all about timing in terms of what time am I available? Can I wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning? Can I, do I need to be at my desk at 1 p.m.? Do I need to have lunch before I trade? Maybe thinking about something like, for dinner, for example, if you're coming home after a days of work, do you need to eat dinner maybe and then trade after, or trade before then eat dinner, so to speak? So all this, it's all timing that comes down to this as well. Okay, your availability. How often can you be available to trade? That's a very tough. It's a very crucial point to make out here, because if you don't have any time, to make any availability time for trading, then what's the point to trade, right? I mean, if you really want to make money, you gotta You gotta give time for trading if you want to make money. Obviously, it's a no-brainer here. But if you give it maybe a little time, how much time do you want to give it to for trading? That sort of stuff. Okay, your goals. Obviously, you want to meet your goals. If you want to know how much money you want to make, how much money you're looking to make in the next couple of days, maybe, in the next week, or months, years, So goals are definitely good to consider in understanding what time frames to trade on, because the time frames will depict on how much money you're going to make, and we'll explain that in terms of time frames later on into this video. Okay, your finances. How much do you want to how much do you want to make in the market, right? Do you have little to no cash? Do you have all right cash? Are you okay to spend some of the money? Risk some of your money, because a lot of people, when they go into trading, they always think, oh, I have $500 in my pocket, I must risk all my money right away because I think I'm just going to make a ton of money in the market. Their approach is not fearful but greedy. Going right after to break the bank, so to speak. Right? You're trading. You're going to treat the trading game or Forex as a gambling experience, and that's something that you really need to understand on your own, right? As a personal, it's a personal thing, right? For each individual, it's your personality, right? Precision, how precise can you be on trading in terms of taking trades? Can you take 2 to 10 trades a day? Can you take 5 trades a day? Maybe 5 trades a month? 10 trades in a week. You need to understand how many trades you want to take within those certain times given to yourself, whatever you're comfortable with as an individual. Okay, and that's really important. So the attention, how much attention are you willing to give? And this kind of rides off to the availability, but the attention is sort of, how much attention can you give the market? How much time can you put into the market? Because the lesser time you give it, the more complex it's going to feel, because you don't feel like you haven't spent enough time learning and or back testing, certain strategies in the market. So these are really great things to consider. All right. So what I mentioned over here is says all these play a vital role in one's personality and desire, which is what you want. And in order to know what you want, you need to ask yourself these questions. Okay, so if you desire something, you need to be able to start dissecting all these parts onto notes, probably into your head, whatever's comfortable for you. But you need to start dissecting all of this in order to understand what time frame is best to trade on. All right, so let's go into these questions. Some other questions to think about. Okay, how often are you available to trade? Full-time or part-time? Okay, this one's very easy. This one should be fairly easy to understand. All right, if I have a full-time job, I know that I probably can't trade the entire day. I can maybe put in 2 hours, 3 hours out of the day to trade, right? Maybe I should trade the daily time frame if I'm working full-time. All right, so it's things like this to think about, right? If you're part-time, then maybe you have the whole entire day to trade, right? Maybe you got to consider, taking your kid to school. Maybe you got to do some chores around the house. Maybe you got to cook, or clean, or whatever. But all this takes in consideration in terms of time, right? How often are you available to trade? What is your availability? Okay. So what structure are you trading? This question here is it actually is based off of our sort of trading, our methodology. So this one's it's not so tricky, but I'll explain it to you right now. But it essentially is, each structure moves in a different speed. Okay, so if you're trading like major structure, that major structure takes a while for people to make money. Obviously, it moves slower than as opposed to your minor and substructure, because minor and substructure move relatively in the same speed. All right, the lower the time frames, the more faster the minors and substructure goes, right? So that's what it is, right? You need to understand what structure you're trading on whenever you're looking at a chart. What structure am I trading, right? Another one is, are you a long-term or a short-term trader, right? Do you want to be in trades short-term? Do you want to place, due to the high, volatility of the market, are you able to withstand and hold trades overnight or over the next few hours or over the next, few minutes, right? And again, this all comes down to your personality, right? It can get very scary at times, when you start as a trader. And when you've been probably trading for a few, maybe couple of years or what have you, and you're still probably not used to understanding how, what type of trader you are in terms of, am I a long-term trader or a short-term trader? Do I want to hold trades overnight? Maybe if I hold trades overnight, I'm afraid that the market may come against me and take me out, or I may lose money, right? So there's all these questions you need to think about. These things you need to think about. Do you like going fast or slow? Okay. If you like going fast, this is kind of a relative easy question to understand. But if you like to go fast, you want to go probably on the 1 minute, right? Or 50 seconds or 30 seconds or whatever. If you want to go if you want to go slow, you might consider taking the 1 hour, maybe 4 hour chart up to the daily, and anything higher above the 1 hour. Okay. This depends on how quickly you're able to capture sort of the understanding of market structure, right? Maybe you have a full-time job and you want to go slow, right? Maybe as a beginner, obviously, as a beginner, you'd like to go slow. You should go slow as a beginner, because if you go fast, obviously, you won't be able to understand where the markets are going, and you could either lose a lot of money in the markets or simply, lose your entire account, right? So these are some things to consider, really. Okay, the next thing is, how much money or how many trades do you want to take? It's supposed to say per hour, per day, per week, not her. How many trades, right? So if you're wanting to trade, obviously in the market, there are times when you want to say to yourself, okay, I want to take 3 trades out of the day. If I lose 3 trades though out of the day, I stop completely, right? This is controlling your emotions as a trader, your own self, right? Your personality. You want to control your personality. You want to control your psychology in terms of knowing yourself, right? Like a lot of traders say, which is very true, when you start trading, you start to learn about yourself as a trader. The psychology part kicks in. So if you know how many trades you want to take per day, can you obey those rules? Can you say, okay, I want to take 3 trades per day and not go any further? Okay, if I lose 3 trades per day, I'm not going any further than that either, right? You can also overtrade in the market, which is a dangerous thing to do if you're winning multiple times and you're feeling to yourself, oh my gosh, I am winning and I'm winning so much money. This is crazy. This is nuts. I got to keep going, right? This is an example of overtrading, right? So do you overtrade? Is another question. If you overtrade, you're putting yourself to so much risk in the market, and that is very dangerous, right? The more times you trade, the more times you are risking your account, your finances, right? That's just part of the game, right? Your ego can get into your head and think, oh my gosh, I'm winning so much money, I must trade now, right? So, I'm not going to be a saint on this, obviously. I've done this whenever I started, right? But over time, you get better to understand how to trade, how to control yourself as a human being, as a person, psychologically speaking, okay? So those are some things you need to definitely think about. How much money you want to make per day, per week, per month. So another goal, and this is why I was talking about goals over here, is what's your goals? How much money do you want to make per day, per week, per month? That's a very easy one to understand, because if you have, say, if you're low on rent, and you want to tell yourself, okay, I need to make $2,000 per month. This is talking about the United States specifically, because rent's average is about $1,500 to $2,000 per month, in some cases $3,000 per month. But if you want to say to yourself, I'm gonna make at least $2,000 per month, you got to make that goal, and that also puts pressure on you as a trader to needing to trade per day sometimes. Maybe you want to trade take about 3 trades, or let's say 5 trades per month, that will equal to $2,000 a month, right? Just to make ends meet, right? Just to meet ends meet, right? That sort of stuff, okay? So there's a lot of dissecting into this again, as I mentioned earlier on. You need to dissect these questions and know who you are as a trader and what you want out of the market, okay? And this goes again on to saying this next, is that whenever you trade, you need to have a trading plan, right? Normally, there's a lot of traders out there, obviously, who have a notebook and write up trading plan in terms of what to look for, in terms of, saying, okay, I want to, I'm going to trade GBP USD or Euro GBP in this case, and I will use XYZ. I would use this indicator, and I would, we don't trade indicators, obviously, but, I'm going to wait for the supply to come to my demand, and I'll look for demand, and then I'll wait for the change of character on this specific pair, right? Or in this instance, you could tell yourself, okay, I want to, I know I'm going to look at this pair, but now I need to, know that I have to make about $1,000 from this pair, because I know I'm going to be on the 4-hour, and then my 4 hour is my major structure. Then I'm going to look at the 50-minute as my, sort of minor and substructure break, and then I'm going to have to look at the 1 minute for entry. Okay, there's so many of this stuff that you kind of have to think about if you don't have it dissected in your head already. So yeah, those are some things you need to think about. At the end of the day, okay, guys, at the end of the day, this decision is based on your personality, no matter what you say, okay? There's so many people out there. We're humans. We always make mistakes, right? If you didn't have a personality, right, which would be very interesting, if you were trying to trade, if you didn't have a personality, this would be a disaster, right? You would be a disaster. But in order for you to trade correctly in the market, your personality is involved no matter what in the market. Your psychology, your behavior is involved in the market no matter what. Your emotions are involved in the market no matter what. So you have to know all that about yourself. So when I get all these questions asked about what's the best time frame to trade on, I could tell you what our best time frames to trade on, but it may not match your personality. Okay. So these are, again, some things to think about. So at the end of the day, only then will you know what best time frames to trade on, is just knowing your personality, period. So in this video, I'm going to also go about and talking about some of our best time frames to trade on right after this, so you guys can get an idea what I'm thinking in the head in terms of what I'm looking for. Whenever I wake up, what do I have planned in those time frames, okay? And why do I consider these time frames the best time frames for me, okay? Because different time frames fit different personalities in my instance, okay? Different time frames also, I'm expected, there's a certain expectancy for me in those days for those time frames. So, if I was to be on the 4 hour, for example, I know that in that 4 hour, I'm going to wait for the markets to retrace, wait for that pullback, wait for, probably a few more days, probably a few more days for price to retrace back to that supply or demand area. Then I would look to enter on the 1 minute eventually, right? But if I was to say, let's say it's Friday, morning, I wouldn't want to be trading on the 4 hour, because obviously time is coming short. And this is just in what I consider as, a good way to sort of dissect my personality and my time frames, right? Like I would say, okay, I want to look at the 5 minute as my higher time frame, and I would want to look to enter on the 1 minute or 5 second time frame. Okay, so this would be considered a scalping trade. Scalping trades that I take within the whole entire day, right? I might want to take about 10 trades, 15 trades a day, just scalping alone, because I know Friday, when Friday gets to closing time, I know I need to close, right? And the closer Friday gets in the timing, right, the slower the market gets, right? The lesser and lesser people trade, right? And there are people that don't even trade don't even trade Friday, don't even trade anything, because they know that's the time, that's the day that the markets start slowing down and closing, and then you don't want to be in a potential trade where you will be stuck having open while Friday closes, and then you wait for Sunday afternoon to open, or in some cases Monday morning to open, and then all of a sudden you see the market jump, leaving a huge gap, and then you're either negative or positive on that trade, right? It's just you're in the danger zone. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to the chart, to the live chart right now, just to show you guys now how this works. Okay, so let me put this down here, and I will drag this over here, and we're going to break it down in terms of our psychology and what we're thinking of. Okay, I generally don't look at the weekly time frame, because for us the weekly time frame is just considerably slow. Obviously, in order to trade these higher time frames, you need to be extremely patient, because it is very vital for any trader to to trade, right? As any trader they need to be patient, first of all. If you know yourself as a trader, and you know what time frames you need to trade on, and you've trained yourself in the long term, right, after, like, let's say 3-4 years or what have you, you will know yourself as a trader whether you're patient or not patient, right? I can be on the 1 minute and still be patient, because I know what I'm looking for. So in this case, I wouldn't generally look at the weekly or the daily. I usually start on the 4-hour. I'm an intraday trader. I don't really hold trades overnight. I used to do it, and I made some money, then I lost money. This is when I was starting back in the early days. But I don't generally hold trades overnight anymore. If and when I get more experienced as a trader, and I have more confidence, obviously, to hold a trade overnight, I will probably consider trading on the 4-hour and the daily, or anything above the 4-hour. Okay, so in this case, we would look at the 4-hour as our demand, our authority market, our authority time frame, and we would look to see what's happening in terms of the major structure. So far, the major structure is telling us that it's pushing low, right? So we would look for sells in this case, because the 4-hour is down, and if the 4-hour is down, we need our smaller time frame to be going down as well, right? So in this case, you can see we had some sort of demand happening right here, right? There may be some price that is reacting to over here. When price gets here, price may react, pull back, on our substructure here, because minor structure broke above sub over here, and then substructure starting to push down. So we would potentially look for some areas to sell over here, right? So something like this would be a great consideration if you were to look at in our point of view in terms of what we're looking for. Okay, so let's just say we're here on the 4-hour. It would probably take, I don't know, maybe a few days for price to get to this area of supply, and then I would look for the sell-off over here. I can also look for a potential buy over here to this demand over here on the 4-hour. Okay, something like this. And now I know, well, if either one get tapped in, I would look to buy or sell, right? So it's all in a matter of being patient here. Once price gets to this area, it looks like it's very close to getting to this area, obviously, before this area. But if price gets to this area, I'm definitely going to wait for price to give me a change of character, and to press and to look for buys, to then look to target this high first, right? And then we'll see if we can sell off all the way low. If not, we might just be able to sell it off to this area here where price showed more demand. Then I can look for potential buys to take prices even higher, potentially to this high, based off of the 4-hour major structure breaking above that previous substructure over here. Okay, so stuff like this, but before I get any too far, in terms of what I'm doing here in this analysis, the 4 hours always our demand, our authority time frame, right? So I would now scale down to the 15-minute, and I would see to myself, okay, let's just say it's Wednesday afternoon, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's Wednesday afternoon. I know this is going to be the 4 hours, going to be the longer term trade. So can I get in any other you know, other trades over here. And if we can, how can we do so, right? You can see again we have a break of structure on the 15 minutes, so therefore I can be patient and wait for prices to get to an area of supply here and then look to sell off over here, because this looks like a perfect area for us to trade. Okay, so now I'm thinking, okay, I have 15 minutes, but every candle is worth 15 minutes. All right, one thing you have to understand as a trader when you're considering to trade time frames, you need to understand the time frames, the candles. Okay, each candle is worth whatever time frame you're on. So in this case, we're on the 15-minute time frame. Each candle is worth 15 minutes. Okay, if I was on the 4-hour, each candle is going to be worth 4 hours. Okay, so they're going to be moving 4 hours every time and creating 4 hours out of the time. So I know I have a few days till price gets here to the supply area. Okay, let's drop back down to the 15-minute. Okay, so right here, if I'm on the 15-minute and that's a Wednesday afternoon, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I know I have the entire day to trade because that's what I do every day. I trade. So I know it'll take probably a few hours to maybe to the entire day until price gets here to the area of supply. So I can just wait for this one to get there. Okay, I don't need to be rushing. I know I need to be patient. Or prices can just come and take a huge sell-off here, touch demand, and then I can look for potential areas for the areas to buy. Right. This can take also, you know, a few hours probably out of the day for price to retrace down here to this demand, and then we look for the buy to take up here. Okay, and then we look for the sell-off again this way. But 15 minutes. Okay, this also depends on when I wake up. Right. In order to understand how to also trade time frames, you need to understand how to be organized a day ahead of what the market is showing you. Okay, so in order to expect certain moves to happen during that day when you wake up. So if I was sleeping, say Tuesday night, right, and the market is here, right, I would probably expect the markets maybe to retrace back to this supply area on the 4-hour, or maybe continue the market bearish, right? And if it does, then I know for a fact, okay, well, I'm going to have an alert set at the supply area, or I'm going to see to that the market is still bearish, and then wait and have an alert on my demand area and wait for prices to get there, right? And then look for potential to buy, right? Something like this. So it's always good to know a day before, maybe 2 days before, you know, and wait to see where the market is before you plan to trade on that day. Okay, so now that we know this is the 15-minute here, we could let me erase this here. We can start to expect we can expect to now look to see to trade on the 1 minute. Okay, so once the 1 minute comes, let's go over here. Okay, when we go to the 1 minute, now the 1 minute changes completely different, right? We know that the 1 minute moves fast, and we know that prices should now either go bullish or continue bearish in this case. Okay, we know price needs to break this high in order for us to look for the buys this way. Okay, so very simple. I know I can take this. I can look for trades quickly on the 1 minute. All right, I can take probably about 2 to 3, 4 trades maybe on this currency pair on Euro GBP. Right, so I know because every candle's creating 1 minute at a time. Okay, so I know that when prices get to a certain level, price break structure, it'll take probably roughly around 15 to 20 minutes till price gets over here for me to look for the buy, if price should ever break this high here, and then I can look for buys here, holding this trade for another hour or so, maybe half an hour to an hour or whatever, and then hit TP here and be out of the market here. Okay, then look for the areas to look for a pullback, or for a area to show us the change of character, and to look for this sell-off to go all the way down to our demand area. Okay, so these could be 2 trades over here already, and then when price gets to our demand area all the way down here, can't even see it. Let's go to the 15-minute. If price gets here to the 15-minute, okay, then now I can take another 1 minute trade to start looking for buys going upwards like this. Okay, hitting our supply. So again, this all differs on how fast you want the market to give you a certain, giving you a chance to trade, right? Certain times to trade. And in this case, it really depends on how fast you want it, how fast you want to make money, or maybe how slow you want to make money, right? If I was, say, if I'm a full-time trader, I can expect to trade on the 1 minute, right? And look for buys and sells on the 1 minute. If I was a full-time trader, I wouldn't even be on the 1 minute. I would just wait till the 4 hour gives me certain amount of, let's say, wait for demand to hit or supply to hit in this case. Once these supplies, demand or supplies hit on the 4 hour, and let's say I have a full-time job, I can be patient and wait for these areas to hit, and then once one of those areas hit, I can then of course go on the 1 minute now and look to enter the market and then hold the trade. Let's say in this case, if price was pushing back to a supply area, I'm sorry, this chart is a little messy. Let me just move it over here. Delete this information. Oops. About to screw up my setup here. Okay, so once, let's say we're in the 4 hour, right, and I have a full-time job, prices do retrace all the way back to a supply area, like so, okay? Then I know for a fact I can look to enter on the 1 minute, wait for the change of character, and then look to sell off. And now I can hold this trade until the 4 hour actually comes to an area of demand, right? Like right here. And then I know this is where I'm going to be cutting off my trade. Okay, so now I know this huge move here could last a couple of days, or it can last, a day, or maybe even less than a day, maybe a few hours, depending on how big these candles are creating, right? So stuff like this. These are always things you need to consider about whenever you're trading in the market. For us in this instance, okay, you understand how we think about when we trade the time frames, because we have an open schedule. We can trade anything below from the 4 hour, anything below the 4 hour, right? If you were to say you wanted to make, let's say $300, or not even, let's say you want to make $2,000 in the month to try and make your rent, right? Well, I could say to you, you can trade the 1 minute and start taking about 30, 40 trades, 30, 40, if I can make this, 30 or 40 trades, right? Maybe. And if you have a small account, let's say you have a $1,000 account, and you're taking a 10-cent trade, or 0.01 lot size, in the market, then you might take about 30 to 40 trades just to take daily, maybe, or which is too extreme, obviously. I've never seen anybody take these kind of trades, obviously, but so yeah, these are just a lot of things that you need to think about when you are considering time frames. Okay, we love the 4 hour because the 4 hour is essentially a time frame that moves very comfortably for us. It's not too fast, not too slow, and we are able to catch certain trades in the market that we feel comfortable with, right? So, all right, guys. I hope this video kind of made sense to you guys. I hope I did a good job telling you guys, kind of dissecting all these things in terms of trading certain time frames. That there's no best time frames to trade on. If anybody else otherwise tells you, oh, this is the best time frame to trade on, well, it's because it's their personality and this is what they like in particularly. Okay, so go ahead and try, one day on these markets to really back test these time frames, see what the speed is, and what is your availability and what you like the most. Okay, guys, I'm going to end this video here. Until then, the king is out.
Nothing can stop me, I'm all the way up.